Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. I am Erin Medley alongside Vicki Hyman. Vicki, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. You can find us on Twitter at TV Hangover Show, at E_meds, and at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY. I just dropped a paper on the floor, and you would think that I dropped an anvil
from Alyssa's face.
Producer Alyssa's head. I mean, geez Louise, that was one sheet of paper. We also have an email address, tvhangovershow at NJ.com. And I know we received a few emails a couple weeks ago, and I did say we were going to come back to one of them, but, you know, the train keeps moving.
Yes.
And there are a lot of things to discuss. One of those being the Match Game, which is one of the game shows on ABC's, what do they call it? Sunday Game Night? Yes, I think it's called Sunday Game Night. I required Vicki watch the episode from this past Sunday, and of course the Match Game is the classic TV game show where there are two contestants and a panel of six celebrity panelists. And the goal is to match a word or fill in the blank with the contestants and the panelists, hosted by Alec Baldwin, and Rosie O'Donnell and Titus Burgess are almost always, at least the 3 episodes I've seen, on the panel.
And Rosie O'Donnell is good at this.
Rosie O'Donnell.
She's very good.
It's clutch.
From the one episode I saw.
Okay, so I made you watch because I stayed up Sunday night after a long day until midnight watching the Match Game, chuckling aloud in my bed.
Okay.
You didn't like it?
No, it's like, it was fine for what it is. It was fine, but what I kept thinking the entire time I was watching, going, I have better use for my 45 minutes if I'm going to be watching TV. You know this, but this is my POV. This is my perspective.
But were you really watching?
Yes, I was. I was really watching the first half an hour, and then I sort of like checked out moving forward.
So
after that.
Tell me what you disliked about it.
I like when you see celebrities off camera and they're relaxed and you feel like, like just getting a different glimpse of celebrities besides, the persona that they have on television. Mm-hmm. Although there was obviously a lot of corporate synergy going on because Maggie Q, who's going to be on like Kiefer Sutherland's new show, Designated Survivor on ABC, was on it and added absolutely nothing.
I was going to say she was the worst panelist. Yeah. On that episode, and the other panelists...
Well, actually, Anna Gasteyer had terrible clues.
She had bad answers, but she's still funny.
Yes, bad answers.
The other panelists, so Titus Burgess, Rosie O'Donnell, Pete Wentz, Anna Gasteyer, and Bobby Moynihan, and Maggie Q, were the six celebrity panelists. And Maggie Q definitely added the least when it came to personality. She had good answers.
They were fine,
but otherwise...
But I mean, the show, I think, sinks or swims on the panelists and their chemistry and the stuff that they say, and it was fine. But I just don't need to be spending time watching it.
Alec Baldwin. I would say that was a particularly raunchy episode.
I was wondering about that because what I remember did you watch Match Game when you were a kid?
Of course.
Okay, well,
not when I was a kid, but I've seen.
Well, this thing, when I was a kid and before I really knew what sex was, they would say things. It was also like the Newlywed Game when they talk about making whoopee. It was like titillating, but I didn't know why.
Right.
And so it was kind of funny to watch it again from that perspective. And I was wondering,
except there was no question about what they were. What they were talking about. They were drawing penis photos on the cards and then
talking about wood and
then they had to be blurred out or pixelated by ABC. Yeah. And there was a part where Alec Baldwin and Titus Burgess both said the S word. Now, mind you, the show comes on at 9 p.m.
The sound effect?
Yeah.
What is that? Did they have that sound effect in the original?
Yes,
I don't remember that.
And they also, I don't know, because I think you were watching it on your phone. Were you watching?
Yes, I was watching on my phone.
They also pixelated their mouths,
I did
which
see
is
that.
like a whole other level of censorship. But the
wasn't it on at like 10 o'clock at night?
9 p.m.
9 o'clock, okay.
9 p.m. All right, fine. So Vicki's not into the Match Game. I would say next you have to watch $100,000 Pyramid, not because it's funny, but because some of the celebrities are really darn good. On the premiere, they had Sherry Shepherd, who I would say a lot of people, might say she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Sherry Shepherd can be my partner on $100,000 Pyramid any day of the week. She is good at giving those clues.
I did like that more than Match Game. I like it was tense, right? I mean, it's a tense show, and you're
tense.
like, ugh. And I kind of
when
enjoy that more.
Two people are in front of the pyramid, and they're like spitting out the clues, and you can't use your hands or anything. I mean, intense.
What I want to see is Tic-Tac-Toe. That was my favorite growing up.
Tic-Tac-Toe.
Tic-Tac-Toe with Wink
Yes.
Martindale.
Yes, that
My
was a
favorite.
good one. I like Win, Lose, or Draw.
Okay. And the green meanies pressure lock.
Oh
yes.
Oh, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
Yeah, that's right. No whammy.
That's a good
Yes.
show. Love it. All right. Well,
Let's get those back.
I agree with you. I will also say that what I liked about Match Game and $100,000 Pyramid, they're both shot in New York.
Okay.
Because they were all New York actors, except for Maggie
That's
Q.
true.
Still, I guess, designated survivor is why she was there. All right, so let's get into some TV news, Vicki. And you have some news, and we're going to talk about this. It would be a better segue for me to wait, but I think we should break this news now. The ratings
For Real Housewives of New Jersey season 7 premiere, not good. Not terrible. Not like Real Housewives of Potomac or Real Housewives of
no.
Dallas bad.
Well, those are new shows. This is 7 seasons.
Well, both
in.
of those shows premiered with lower ratings than Real Housewives did, several years ago. The ratings for Sunday night's Real Housewives, total viewers 1.744, which is the lowest in all seasons except for the very total.
Not in the demo.
Not in the demo. I don't have the demo yet.
Okay.
All I saw was 1.744. It was the lowest since season 1, which had 1.72, I believe. And basically, this is just for the premieres. The highest premiere was season 4, I think, with like 3 million, and it's gone down since then.
And what happened in season 4? Was that when Melissa first showed up?
No, Melissa showed up in season 3.
Okay.
Season 4, I think, might have been when Joe's attack. I don't really remember.
When they had that fight?
Well, yeah, I mean, there were like 3 seasons where it was the same cast, so I can't really tell you what happened in which one. I'm sorry.
So the rating's not so good.
Not great. No.
We're gonna talk more about the premiere in a few minutes. But I think we both agreed it was pretty lackluster. So not too surprised. All right. So here's some news that Vicki will be very excited to hear. Catastrophe has been renewed for seasons 3 and 4.
Oh my God! Of course, they're only like 6 episode seasons,
but still, the Amazon series stars Sharon Horgan and Rob Delaney as a couple who meet while he's on vacation. They hook up. She gets pregnant. They decide to make it work. And then season 2, they are married, right?
Oh, they are married. They got married in season 1.
Yeah,
they have another kid by season 2.
Oh, right. I knew something happened. Season 3 will air in 2017.
Okay, I have something to look forward to now.
It's such a long ways away. And I know we didn't talk about this last week, but speaking of 2017, Game of Thrones, the premiere of that has been pushed back for next year because they're waiting for winter to come, essentially.
Winter came. Winter's there. They sent the White Ravens out from the Citadel.
Well,
I'm such a dork.
Not for production purposes. All right, and here's some other ratings news. Another show we'll be talking about, The Night Of, premiered on HBO Sunday to 1.3 million viewers.
Not more than Real Housewives of New Jersey, unfortunately.
Yeah, but on a network where you have to pay for it,
Yes.
Someone should be embarrassed, and it's not HBO. That was between its 9 p.m. premiere and then 2 additional airings, I believe one at 10 and one at midnight.
But let's also point out that it was available ahead of time.
Yes, so I have those numbers too. It has been available since June 24th on HBO On Demand, HBO Go, and HBO Now, and those streams have been watched by 1.5 million viewers. So when you put those two numbers together, you're almost at 3 million.
I think it's pretty good, particularly since I don't think the teasers really did it justice.
I agree. And we're going to talk about that too. So let's just get into Real Housewives of New Jersey. So for those of you who haven't seen, Vicki and I did a Facebook Live earlier this week recapping the episode.
I also recapped the episode.
And she also wrote a recap. So you can catch both of those things at NJ.com/entertainment. And the live video is on Facebook.com/NJ.com. All right, Vicki. The girls are back. It's been a long time. Almost 2 years, a year and a half. October 2014 was the last time we saw The Real Housewives. I will say that Bravo was running a marathon over the weekend, and right before the season premiere, they showed the 3-part reunion episodes, and I was like, oh, I do not miss the twins.
No, they did not really add very much.
They didn't, but I do miss Dina.
You miss Dina?
I like her. She has a different energy.
She does have a different energy. I like that she was really more of a plain talker than everybody else, and less willing to play the game.
Right.
But you know,
otherwise you can live without
it.
All right. So the episode opens with, was it with Joe and Melissa, or was it with Jacqueline? I don't remember.
No, I mean, I think it opened with. They did one things where they opened with Teresa starting to come home, and then they flash back to
probably we saw the clock and the date.
Yeah.
And look, I didn't even want to talk about this episode because I thought it was that bad. There were so many flashback scenes, as though Bravo A thought they needed to remind us all of what happened, which I don't think they did, and B, as though they thought a bunch of new people were going to tune in who had no idea what had happened previously, and they had to fill them in.
I think what they had to do was that they wanted to lead it up to Teresa getting out of prison, and so they just had to sort of fill it up with that. And my issue with Teresa coming out of prison was that I just feel like we've already lived it. Quite frankly.
In real life.
In real life, we saw all the press, we saw all the people exclusives, we saw all of her interviews. We even saw a lot of the pictures ahead of time. I think people had them. We didn't see the video. Okay, fine. So there was Teresa, and I think we both can admit that it was a little bit moving seeing her get back together with her kids after being so, but it was just, I can see why they had to do it. It's the elephant in the room. And they have to build something special around her release. Right. And now let's move on. And so I feel like hopefully we will get past this and we'll get into some real fake drama.
I am more interested in seeing how they handle Joe's going to prison, because that hasn't been in any of the previews.
It hasn't, and it looks like that's what they're going to end with, because they showed it at the end of the teaser. Like they're going to end. But
then the timeline would be all fakakta, because he went to prison in February. No,
he went in March, like maybe a week before the Melissa's Posh Fashion Show,
which is the real finale.
Although they apparently did film a few other things after that.
Okay, yeah. So I have a feeling like a really short filming season.
Well, I think actually they'll probably make the second to last episode Joe leaving, and then the last episode will be Teresa dealing.
So
with
what you're telling me is that the show is not true to life.
It's not.
In its timeline?
No, it is not. People keep pointing that out to me in comments. This isn't real, Vicki, and I'm like, yes, I know that.
Well, it is. The situations are real. Everything else is manufactured. All right. So one of the things that we didn't talk about in our Facebook Live that I just want to bring up here is Gia's still the most annoying teen ever. I think she's more annoying than Ashley.
Wow, I don't agree.
And I know you don't agree. And we've talked about this when Teresa phones home. What was the name of that show? Teresa
checks in. Teresa phone home. Teresa phone home.
Sure. So when Teresa Checks In was on, I said she was being so mean and rude to her father, and that just continued.
Yeah, and I was actually totally fine with that. Because she's the adult in that house at that moment.
But she's not.
But she is.
But she's not.
She is. He is not an adult.
But neither is she. That's my point.
She's stepping up.
What? Nonsense.
We don't have to have the same conversation. I mean, if you were to go back and look at Ashley Holmes's signature scene, having brunch with her family and being the brattiest brat I've ever seen in my entire life, Gia is nowhere near that level.
Ooh, I don't know. I tend to disagree.
And I think you also have to give Gia some credit because how warped, her life experience may be, because she has been on the show since she was 7 years old or something, whereas Ashley was already 16 or 17 when it started. So there's damage done, I'm telling you.
Fine. I just wish she would be a little more respectful when speaking to her father. Speaking of respect, Melissa is really struggling this season.
She works hard for the money.
She's trying to start her boutique Envy in Montclair, New Jersey.
Did you just say that with a French accent?
Boutique?
No, Envy.
No, I said Envy.
I'm sorry.
I was
sorry.
Which
Envy.
word? I think boutique is a French word.
Yes.
So she's trying to open that, and she's struggling. She has this great struggle. Vicki, let me ask you.
As a woman,
how do you both work and be a mother?
I don't. I leave my son locked in a cage when I go to work and with some bread and water. I mean, what is that? I mean,
like she's the first to charter this path.
I know. And she doesn't know if it's possible. That's the thing. She doesn't know if it's possible. Although, to be fair, she's talking about like balancing her work life with the quote traditional values, which, as I've said before, apparently means being ready for sex 24 hours a day.
That is what it means.
Because, as Melissa says, you can endure anything for 10 minutes. She said it in her book. So, yes, that may be difficult to balance.
Unless I don't
but maybe if you tell your husband that is not the way the world works.
Her husband's a horn dog.
Yes.
Her husband's a horn dog. He's always been a horn dog. And I would say maybe the first couple of seasons they were on, it wasn't charming. That's not the right word. But it was fine. It was playful. But now I'm just over it. That doesn't need to be a part of the storyline as far as I'm concerned.
I know we've already said this is not real. And I wonder how much of it is real and how much is it like he knows this is his character.
No, I think he knows
put it on for
his character. And I think he puts it on. But I think he, as with most of the people on these shows, he's not self-aware and doesn't realize that this is now irritating. It's unnecessary, and the viewers don't really want it anymore because there's zero self-awareness from any of these people. Did we see Kathy and Rosie in this episode?
Yeah, they were. They were there at Jacqueline's party.
Oh, right.
And they were talking about like Teresa getting out of prison, and Rosie said something like, well, let's just, she's done her time and let's give her a second chance, I guess. And I actually liked what, I think it was Dolores had to say about,
Dolores, one of the new housewives.
Dolores Catania, real power is, losing everything and then getting the power back. So it's like, okay, well, Teresa's clearly gotten the power back because she's on television again.
Of course.
So,
So Dolores is one of the new housewives, and I really had a hard time figuring out which one she was when they were in the scene at
they were talking about plastic surgery
at Jacqueline's house, and they were talking about plastic surgery. I was like, of these four brunettes, I wouldn't be able to pick her out of the crowd. Not saying that she's not a good character, but for right now, I mean, it was the first episode. I don't think they did a great job of introducing her, or Siggy.
No, they did a great job of introducing Siggy. I'm sorry,
a whole other
little Edie.
thing.
Yes, they did a fine job.
Yes, Siggy with her facelift situation. I will say, I know this is the only Housewives franchise that you watch. This is not how they normally introduce new housewives. I think because they only had 3 originals, it was difficult to do. But what they usually do is you get the original housewives in the first episode, and then at some point during that episode, one of the housewives brings on the friend and introduces her to everyone else. And then maybe the next episode or a few episodes in, you get the other new housewife. Like, you rarely get them both at the same time. And you definitely don't get them from, like, the first few scenes. So, it's different production.
Well, when you talk about being confused, there is a scene in the upcoming on the season where somebody is yelling at somebody and there's another brunette. And I'm like, is that Kathy? Is that Dolores? Or that there was rumored to be 2 other housewives.
Oh, really?
Robin Levy and she's married to another woman whose name I can't remember. Forgive me. I think it might have been her, but then she wasn't actually cast as either a housewife or a friend
of show.
No, but she wasn't even listed as a friend of the show. So, yeah, but there's a couple of other brunettes out there.
But they've done that before,
and they were there at the finale too.
Okay, they've done that before in other franchises, where someone who is rumored to have been joining the cast only shows up for 1 episode. They're not friend of show, and they're only on for a couple episodes. So we've seen that in Atlanta most recently, as I recall. So of course we will continue to keep you, our loyal listeners, up to date on all of the Real Housewives of New Jersey shenanigans.
And all of our opinions about it.
And all of our opinions, which there are many. And if you have any questions, email us tvhangovershow at njadvancemedia.com or tweet us at tvhangovershow. Vicki and I will also, most likely, be back on Facebook Live after next week's episode to digest that. So let's move on to another show with the Jersey connection. The night of James Gandolfini, you're making faces. That's a Jersey connection. So before he passed, this was the show that he championed.
Oh, of course, yes.
At HBO, he was going to also star.
Yes.
In the role that is occupied now by John Turturro, who's the attorney. So, Vicki, give us the brief synopsis or like the cut line. What's the show about?
A look at the criminal justice system. There's a Pakistani American born in America, college student who, takes his dad's taxi cab to go into New York for a party. He's kind of a wallflower, and he ends up accidentally kind of getting a ride with a mysterious, damaged young woman who gives him some pills, and they have some sex, and then he wakes up and she is brutally stabbed to death, and he gets arrested for the crime.
Yes, so that's where we are at the end of...
At the end of season... Yeah, it was very, very good premiere.
So here's my thing. I watched it on HBO Go before it aired, and it was so dark. Like, actually dark. Not dark. The content. It was just dark. I was like, what's happening? I can't see anything.
It is better to watch this one on a television, I admit.
I was like, what is... I don't know what this girl looks like. Another one, you put her next to Dolores, and I have no clue which one was the girl from the night of.
Actually, the girl, Sophia Delia Black, who was from Clifton. FYI.
Oh, really?
The one who dies. Yes.
Who's brutally stabbed. Yeah. So I'd say I thought the first episode was great. And you can tell this is a twist on the normal whodunit. Because there are many things that happen throughout the show where you're unsure who the real perpetrator is. I mean,
they are deliberately giving you evidence. They're showing you cams. They're showing you, like, you can see the protagonist, like, running for his cab from the point of view of the neighbor.
Right.
There's just a lot of, and, like, you have to sort of sift through the evidence, and that continues throughout.
Right.
I watched the first 4 episodes.
Oh, okay. And we have to be clear that when the young woman is murdered, that we do not see.
We do not see.
They have sex, and then the next scene we see, he wakes up in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
And then when he goes upstairs to, like, tell her he has to go, he sees that she's
So quite frankly,
murdered.
He could have done it.
He could have done it. We don't know.
He's on some sort of asthma medication, too. He's allergic.
Right.
There's, like, a cat that you see a lot of.
And they had been playing with a knife.
Yeah.
Before that, and he did stab her, but that's like one of the things. So he's touched the murder weapon. I'm not gonna
spoiler. He has the murder. Like when he's arrested for when he's picked up by police for something completely different, he has the murder weapon with him, and so like half of the episode, he's sitting there in the police station with the murder weapon on him.
Jacket.
Like, oh my god!
But it goes even further than that, because what also happens is, so he sees that she's been murdered. He panics. He turns the light on. So now he's touched the lamp, right? Okay, so, and don't forget, they've already had sex, so, you know, his evidence is there. He touches the lamp. He turns the lamp off. He gets her blood on him. He runs out the front door. He forgets the keys to the cab, so he has to get back in. So what does he do? He breaks the glass.
Because the door's locked. Yeah.
Because the door's locked.
Which is what the neighbor sees, I believe.
Which is what the neighbor sees. Then he reaches in. He gets cut by the glass. So now it looks like he's breaking and entering. Because who knows? The police won't know the timeline. They'll just know that he broke the glass and that his DNA is there. He opens the door. He gets his keys. He runs out. The neighbor also sees him jump into the cab, which is what he's ultimately arrested in. And that's how they connect that, he's the guy that they're looking for. Before he and the young woman went into her apartment, they were in a verbal tiff with these two guys who were walking down the street. Yes, very
important.
One played by J.D. Williams, who's also a Jersey guy.
Bodie from The Wire, right?
Correct. And he was on The Good Wife.
Okay. No, and that is actually very interesting.
Yes.
Because it's what I really did like about it, that it's kind of like a show like American Crime. You're taking one crime, and this that not as so much a whodunit, but like how it reverberates through the community, race, ethnicity, blah blah blah.
Right.
This one has the ethnicity angle, the religion, the race angle, the immigrant angle, but I don't think it's overplayed, which I don't
like either.
But it's definitely an element, and that's what the people on the street call the guy out for. Like, oh, you're gonna like bomb something, a terrorist, whatever, because he looks like he's Arab, I guess.
Right.
Muslim.
But he's American.
He's American, he's Pakistani, not Arab.
Yes, and his name is Nasir, and I love that he tells everyone he goes by Nas. And I'm like, the rapper? How many people are really getting that? But that amuses me. I think the show looks good. I know you've seen 4 episodes, so you're not going to spoil it for me, but there's really no spoiler, you said, till probably the finale.
I know. I watched 4 and there's absolutely none. And from what I understand, yeah, they're like, you don't really, I guess you're not going to find out what happened till the 8th episode because it hasn't been spoiled for anybody yet.
Right.
Apparently the trial stuff is, it's going to go to trial. That stuff is pretty good too. We didn't even talk about like the supporting characters. John Turturro is excellent.
As the attorney.
I mean, what I also loved, which I think American Crime skimps a little bit on, is the characterization is so deep on everybody on the show, from Jon Stone, who's like this plagued by eczema on his feet, like ambulance chasing lawyer. There's like this ongoing thing.
Who doesn't realize that he volunteers to defend a murderer? He thinks that he, what did he do? How does the police officer describe it? He doesn't say like he murdered a girl.
Yeah.
He says like he not stabbed her, but he uses some other verb that doesn't indicate that she's murdered. And so John Turturro's character is kind of like, oh shoot, what did I just get myself into? Like he's an ambulance chaser.
I know, but he's also really happy because this is like a big case for him. There's I think the actor's name is Bill Camp, who plays it's another noun. The name of the detective, Box, like it's another noun, who's also really great. But even like the really smaller roles, like there's an actor named Ben Shankman who I remember from Angels in America, who plays just sort of like this desk sergeant. But he, there's
he's
like
the one who mischaracterized the event.
I mean, everybody on all levels is really great.
Yeah, I agree. And also we should point out that it's not just about what Nasir did wrong. It also shows the police mishandling evidence or they're not following chain of command. And you can just tell that stuff is going to come up later.
But it also follows Nasir into Rikers Island. He's like this waif, and he gets sort of I'm not going to say. I'm sorry, I was about to spoil
don't say
it.
No spoilers.
He meets a powerful inmate played by Michael K. Williams,
also from The Wire.
Also from The Wire.
Yes. So Vicki, trying to exclude the 3 episodes you've seen that no one else has seen.
Okay, this is hard.
Do you think he's guilty? Did Nasir kill?
I have no idea.
Girl? You don't know.
I don't know. I mean, like, he was out. He was out, and they set in place the fact that he shouldn't be taking these drugs because he takes like asthma medication, whatever.
Right.
And so you do not know. And they're just starting to come up with like investigate the other, because John Turturro takes on that role of like finding out if it's not Naz, who is it?
Right.
Trying to figure out who else it is.
Okay. I'm going to say I don't think he did it. I'm in the Adnan Syed camp. If we're talking serial, I don't think he did it. I don't know who did it yet. I have an idea. I'm not going to say, but we shall see. So we'll be following the night of another show that we've been talking about for weeks, that we've both finally finished.
Well, yeah, this is actually really interesting because it like when we stopped, like then everything got real after we stopped.
Hit the fan. And this is, of course, Orange is the New Black. Everyone in this room, including producer Alyssa, has finished the season. And I think we can all agree what the F happened in the very end? Those last 3 episodes.
Oh, well, I mean, I was going to say what happened. Like, I thought...
the very end, too.
Yeah, I was actually on board until the very, very end.
I agree because... Okay, let's just go back. So, spoiler alert, if you have not watched season 4 of Orange is the New Black, you do not want to hear this conversation because we are going straight to the end.
And by the way, do you know that I accidentally spoiled Alyssa?
I know, she told me. And thank goodness she didn't spoil it for me. I think I spoiled it for myself, though, because I looked at the episode titles, and when I saw... Again, spoiler alert, people, that Poussey got another episode, I was like, oh wait, this doesn't bode well for her. Because they didn't repeat anyone else in this season.
I guess not.
No, I don't think so. Okay. All right, so Poussey's dead.
Poussey is dead in a very Black Lives Matter kind of way. Yes.
I don't think so.
How do you not think? I mean, she couldn't breathe.
No, understood, but it's not. She wasn't being held down because she was black.
No, I'm not saying she was being held down because black, but I mean, clearly they were making parallels between Black Lives Matter and also between. I think they were actually making a stronger case about Guantanamo and the officers who served overseas who come back and have learned to dehumanize the people that they are looking after, which wasn't really the case. With the people before,
I think the
officers who were there before.
I think that I would. I
like the metaphor.
I would feel like that. I would feel that way a little more had it not been that officer, because he was very likable.
But that is good because that is giving. I mean, because if it had been the really awful officer,
but then that would be Black Lives Matter. Because let's be clear here, it's not all police officers that kill black people.
No,
it's just the bad
not.
ones.
I'm saying, but they are giving it more nuance by making it the likable officer.
Then I say there's no comparison. Okay. I don't want to cross metaphors here, but so anyway, she's dead because she was held down and she couldn't breathe, and he didn't know she couldn't breathe. But the inmates were rioting.
But it's important. They're rioting for a very good reason because they were being treated extremely unfairly by this new batch of corrections officers who had come in after the rest had walked off the job.
Correct.
And who had a much different background than
They were at that point pitting the inmates against one another. I mean, Suzanne, Crazy Eyes, beat up her girlfriend.
It was really that one officer. I wish I could remember his name, but I can't
either. He was really creepy. That actor is great because in the beginning of the season, I thought he's a decent guy. And then he just turned really dark.
When he forced Maria to eat the let's not even discuss it because it's going to make me gag.
Wait, what was it again?
I don't really nobody wants you to say it. It was disgusting.
Yeah, whatever it was.
You made her swallow something disgusting, which right now I am trying to hold back my gag reflex.
Oh, right. Yes. I won't say it so Vicki doesn't vomit in the studio. But he made her eat something really disgusting. And then when he how do you even unpack the last 3 episodes of Orange is the New Black? I mean, that episode where we saw Suzanne's more of her backstory. So they did repeat some backstories. Where she was living with a woman. She was working at a Walmart type place.
Yeah, that actually was the best backstory of the season. And I think that the season also can be dinged for the fact that a lot of the backstories were not up to snuff.
But a lot of the characters they profiled, I didn't really need backstories for. They were all secondary characters.
The one that was really lame was actually Maria, the one who had to eat the blank.
Right.
Where she was a sort of a con girl.
Porsche
whatever.
Something.
Yeah.
Not even a real con girl.
Suzanne's killed me.
Oh my God. So this is what happened in the Suzanne episode. Suzanne was working at Walmart. She was a very nice person. She made a lot of relationships with the customers. She was a greeter. She was employee of the month. She was doing everything great. She lived with a woman.
Her sister.
Oh, her sister. And her sister went on a vacation with her boyfriend for the weekend, left Suzanne home alone.
Because she never got to go in, because she was a caregiver for her sister.
Right. And wait, how did that become her sister again?
Suzanne was adopted.
Right. Okay. And so Suzanne is freaking out over it because she's never been alone by herself. And she goes to a park and she sees one of the kids that she's made friends with at the Walmart place. So she says, hey, let's go back to my house and play with toys, which would sound totally creepy if it weren't coming from Suzanne. Yeah. Her intentions are good. Mm-hmm. So she brings the boy back to her house. He tries to leave.
I mean, she's kept him there for quite some time.
And he's like, get home. He calls 911. She starts freaking out. Why would you call 911? That's not what you should do if we're friends. And friends shouldn't want to leave. And this, you could tell this is the manifestation of her sister leaving her at home alone. The kid tries to escape through the fire escape. And then she reaches for him and he falls to his death. And I'm just what just happened? I tweeted producer Alyssa, are you finished? Did you get to the Suzanne episode yet? I mean, I was devastated.
It was very devastating. I mean, it was extremely powerful. What's blowing your mind about it? I mean, I think that is in keeping with all of their really good flashbacks. It kind of also threw into relief how bad the other flashbacks had been.
Because then she ended up in prison, and I know it's not a max security prison, so clearly they didn't convict her of murder 1 or murder 2 or whatever it would be. But still, just to think how everything could just go so wrong all of a sudden. She did not have malintent, whereas dumb Maritza girl, she willingly went into trying to steal this car.
Well, I think also I think maybe one of the things that the show has been trying to show over the course is that it's not like you're an evil person, you do one bad thing. It's it's a number of really stupid, bad, small decisions, some of them dictated by the circumstances that you're in that lead people to this. You're not terrible people. They've made a series of terrible choices in many of the cases.
But then in that same episode, Suzanne goes and beats the crap out of her former girlfriend.
Yeah, well, she's crazy too.
Royal crazy. Yeah. She needs to go to the psych ward.
It's kind of weird that she has never been in the psych ward, that she wasn't in the psych ward already.
But they sent Lori Petty to the psych ward.
Yes,
Lori Petty, who, again, best actress
love
this
her.
season. She was so good. Okay, so then we see Poussey dies. I liked the Poussey flashback episode because it just showed her being happy. Like, there was no other reason for it. It had nothing to do with why she was in prison.
Well, I also love the fact that they used the flashback and the pictures. They were trying to come up with the people at the prison MCC was trying to come up with the story that she is a terrible, violent person, and they could not come up with that, and so they had to turn it around on the and the irony of ironies that they tried to turn it around on the poor corrections officer, the nice corrections officer who made a terrible mistake, but did not have the evil intent of anybody else. And then God help me with the bad mustache, the head of the prison, Caputo wouldn't give them that story, and then accidentally basically causes the riot because he didn't want to throw one of the two people under the bus.
Right.
So he ends up causing the riot, which wouldn't have been caused had he blamed it on this kid who really shouldn't have been blamed, really.
Correct. So at the end of the episode, what we see is all of the prisoners, all of the different races, or, because there was a division, the white power people and then the black people and the Hispanic people, they all come together down the halls of Litchfield.
They're all storming from different directions with Blair Brown as the Martha Stewart, Paula Deen type figure in the middle.
/ threesome master.
Yes.
Which was a scene I did not need to see.
I loved it.
And they corner or, surround two correction officers, the one bad guy and the one female officer. And somehow they get the gun.
Yeah, the guy falls down and the gun slides out, and who picks it up?
Freaking Dasha Planko. What's her character's name? Daya.
Whatever.
Who, by the way, what do we see? A combined 5 minutes of Daya this entire season?
Yeah, I think it was a big fail to have her pick it up. The idea was that her mother got out of prison, which was interesting to see them on the outside. And she was flailing a little bit, wanted to find a new group, and found this really tough girl.
Right. The Dominican sort of gang that was
who were getting into
drugs
drug dealing and stuff
in
like
the hair
that.
Salon.
But it's so she was sort of hanging out with him, but I just did not buy that at all. She's going to pick up the gun, and then you see her, pointing it at the corrections officer,
And that's how the season ends.
Yeah.
I think everything before that was great. That was kind of meh, I don't understand. Piper, who cares?
Yeah, pretty much.
Whatever. Alex, meh.
Again.
Natasha Lyonne's character.
Yes.
What's her
Nikki.
name? Nikki.
Yeah.
Nikki's back. Nikki's on drugs. I was kind of sad. But that had to do with Sophia when she thought Sophia killed herself. Isn't that when because she had turned over a new leaf? Remember, she was going to
I never was really clear on. So she was completely sober, and then I think she got word that she was getting out, and that's when she got the drugs.
No, I thought it was when she saw the blood in Sophia's cell. All I know is that she gave a corrections officer what do you call it? A sexual favor.
She performed oral sex upon the female corrections officer.
Female corrections officer. She can get some drugs. So I would say overall A plus season minus the last 5 minutes.
I would give it an A.
All right.
And maybe an A minus because of how disappointing the flashbacks were.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll take mine down to just an A, a standard A. I think the last, honestly, the last 3 episodes made the entire season for me.
It was much darker, but it still had, they had a lot of really funny one-liners, and I thought, I never liked Porn Stash because I always thought he was too much of a caricature, and I think they pretty much stepped away from that for the most part, which I appreciate. One subplot I really did like was the yoga lady appreciating all this, appreciating all the extra perks that she got from rooming with Blair Brown's character, but also hating herself for it, and then ending up in a threesome with the electrician.
Disgusting. Everything about that grossed me out. When they started kissing, I was like, things I do.
You're so ageist. You are so ageist.
I'm not ageist. I am beauteous. Is that a word? I don't mind if the people are attractive, but not one of those 3 people I want to see make out. I'm sorry, I don't. If there were 3 hot older people, I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Why is that a problem?
It's fine.
All right. Well, we were supposed to talk about bad second seasons on today's show. We're going to save that for next week.
Okay. But why were we going to talk about bad second seasons?
Because in the last few minutes we have here, Unreal Season 2 is effing unreal.
I missed last night's episode.
Oh no, then we definitely cannot talk about it.
Did it get much worse last night?
Yes.
Okay.
Like to a whole other level of worse.
Because I'm like, I've been wavering on it. You know, I don't think it's as strong as the first season, but I'm like,
no.
I'm still hanging in there. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. I didn't see last night's episode.
I reached out, or Monday night's episode.
Oh, I'm sorry, Monday night's episode.
I reached out to Dan Feinberg, who is a TV critic and a friend of mine and colleague of Vicki's at the Hollywood Reporter.
Sort of.
And I tweeted him and I was like, are you going to revise your... because he declared at the beginning of the season, he's like, oh, season 2 of Unreal is going to be so good. It's going to be great. I've seen the premiere. Excellent. It lives up. And I'm like, now we're at the point where you need to revise. And
what did he say?
And he said, I based my review on the first 2 episodes. I'm not revising right now, but maybe. And I'm like, yeah, because it's bad.
Well, now I have to watch it.
You do. So next week we'll be back to talk about shows with bad second seasons, including Unreal. If you'd like to reach out to us and give us your input, tweet us at TV Hangover Show, at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY, and at E_Meds. I can't even remember my own Twitter handle because it's so complicated, and I do want to change it, but I can't because I can't figure out what to change it to. That's going to do it for us. We will talk to you next week.